Actually, I heard this remarkable fact last night. It said that you beat 11 world champions, which must be so rare for any player because I don't think I've even played 11 world champions. But do you have any favorite players that you played against throughout the history of your career, or players that you dominated, you were always beating them, or players that you had a lot of difficulties with?
Well, the most difficult player was for me versus Kramnik. And I think it's his style. Before you mentioned that how artistic he is, but I think he became artistic much later. Not in his very young years when, well, you can say it's artistic, but it's very much positional art, which he was already at a very young age when he was like 16. Well, I had the difficulties against many players, but for example, Kramnik, I never won. Maybe I won in a blitz game. But I mean, it was very difficult to play against Kasparov, for example, for a long time. And then eventually I chose specific strategies against him, and I could break that. And it's not only in result, but with Garry, the problem was you haven't played him much, right? Because
I
you're
played
so
him in
much
Rapid and
younger.
Blitz,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
already past his retirement.
Yeah. Because when you played against Garry, he's extremely strong personality now also if you meet him.
Yeah.
But when he was a competitive player back then, he was 5 times more. And for a long time, for me, it was a problem that when he came to the board, he just simply gave the impression that he wants to eat you up alive right there. So it was, in some games, it seemed to me, looking back, that it was kind of a formality just to play the game, but it was very clear what will be the end of the result of the game. And that was a very bad feeling. So that was broken in 2000 when I had a very exciting game. I lost that one, but it was a breaking point that finally I was not somehow feeling the fact that it's a formality, you know. And in 2001, that was the breaking point when I was playing in Linares 2 games with white and black, and then it was both of them was a draw. In this special way that I said, okay, I'm going to play his own strategy, playing knight g4 against the bishop e3 Najdorf. And he was the biggest expert of that line, right? So I said, okay, I take my gloves and fight in his own territory. And in the other one, I said, okay, I'm going to be attacking him no matter what, by any means. It cost me several pawns and pieces, but I managed, and he got scared, and somehow I shuffled things the way it was a draw. So that was kind of the breaking point against him. And it was not easy, but that was also interesting when it was similar that he...
Just about Kasparov, you finally beat him. It was in
Yeah.
Berlin, right?
Yes, it was in Berlin
endgame,
because he
yeah.
made a very bad choice, and it was rapid.
Yeah.
But actually, in my heart, I have these 2 draws on a much higher
Okay.
priority, because that was the breaking point between our chess relationship.
That's when you felt like you can.
Yes, that
outplay
simply
him.
he was sweating.
Yeah.
You know, at some point, even though he could win in that game, when I was attacking, I was playing with white. He was talking to me after the game, and even during the game, you felt that he's not scared, because he was never scared, but you could feel the tension that he was worried, let's say.
Did you feel like you gained his respect after those 2 draws?
Absolutely.
Was that the feeling?
Absolutely. And after that, he also invited me half a year later or so to the summer chess camp, where in Croatia he was spending a few months every year, which meant that obviously he would not invited me if he wouldn't find it interesting to work. And after that, I won against him. So that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a very interesting relationship that you develop with your opponents over the board and over the years as well, right?
Well, that's how chess is, that we meet our opponents during a decade or 2. Of course, now maybe there are new players coming and maybe faster retiring, but I'm not sure, because we have several new generations since I stopped. And but it's a fact that if you play someone 10 years ago, it's a completely different person who you play 10 years later. Of course, you check the openings, what has happened. It little influences you, the results what you had, but not as much as before.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And